What were his non-negotiables in terms of, like, what would he just not accept? What would he lose his rag at, lose his temper at?
Being late.
Yeah, huge one for him, yeah.
I remember going into training once and I wasn't clean shaven. I mean, he didn't mind a beard as long as it was neat. But if you were looking, you know, scruffy, he'd go. I remember once sent me home. See you tomorrow.
What, because you had a beard?
Because I was looking a bit scruffy and that, like.
You were loving your days off now, mind you. Did you do a full week?
Sticking my hair up with gel all over it.
How would you dealt with this little thing?
I know the goatee.
He wouldn't have noticed that.
No, that was after him. After I had a goatee like as well and long curly hair. I remember his first words to me ever was, there wasn't an academy then, it was 2-year apprenticeship.
Yeah.
YTS,
yeah.
But the lead up to that was called a Colts team.
The Colts?
The Colts. So that was like the feeder group then. And you'd go and play against local football teams, men. So we were like 15, 16 coming through the Colts. We were playing in a local league that was men. And again, that was your great education, playing against men at that age. And he used to come and watch. The first team were at home in the afternoon. He'd come and watch the Colts to see. I remember like doing well in one game and he waited for me after. And I had long curly hair. He said, son. So I goes over to him. I said, yes. He said, no, it's boss. I said, yes, boss. He said, if you want to play football for me, I suggest that you get your hair cut. So what do you do the next day? You go and get your hair cut.
Yeah.
Because I want to play football for him.
I tell you what, the Big D would love to play for Brian Clough. What a manager, what a man. Standards, that's it. You've just got to have standards. And it's in the tiny, tiny, tiny details that makes a difference at the highest level. That's what they always say. It's just the tiny details. And back then, Nottingham Forest were a big side. They were. I mean, they've kind of been out in the footballing wilderness for a long time and they've done really well this season. But back then, well, I mean, we're talking, so that's about 1990. So it was about 8 years before that. They were won back-to-back European Cups under Brian Clough. And it was tiny, tiny details. Standards. Because if you're sloppy in your appearance, if you're sloppy in your preparation, you're going to be sloppy on the pitch. And if you're sloppy on the pitch, you're going to concede goals. If you concede goals, you lose matches. If you lose matches, well, you don't win trophies, do you? And it's, again, I've said this a million times before, it's not rocket science. So if you take responsibility, if you set certain standards for yourself, professional standards, make sure you turn up well-groomed, not looking scruffy, you take pride in your appearance, you take pride in your work, you take pride in everything that you do, then it'll filter in to everything else that you do, and it's got to start somewhere, and it usually starts with yourself. You look yourself in the mirror and you ask yourself, have I done everything that I can do today to improve my current situation? The answer is always no. But if you continually try to make sure you're able to say yes, then, you know, those actions will compound and you will improve. Anyway, what do you guys think? That was a little bit of a motivational speech from the Big D there. What do you think? Should I set up another channel? Big D Speaks Motivation. That's not a bad idea. Anyway, thoughts in the comments and the Big D will see you in the next one.